And now, it's time for another Dice Tower review with Tom Vasel.
Hey everybody, I'm Tom Vasel, and welcome to a components overview of Gloomhaven. Now, this is a box and a half, right? I haven't seen a box this big other than maybe Ogre from Steve Jackson Games, and this one is certainly heavier than Ogre was. This is a pretty hefty box. There's a lot involved. And so because Gloomhaven is a campaign style game, and because I feel like I'm going to be playing Gloomhaven for a while, I thought we'd break our review down into different sections. Today, posted alongside this review, you will see a first impressions from me, Sam, and Z about what we think of Gloomhaven. First impressions, just having played a mission or two. But today I'm going to be looking here at the components. Now I want you to realize something. I like Gloomhaven, all right? Any minor criticisms that I might make here doesn't mean I don't like the game, but I wanted to go through it and talk about some of the things inside the box. Secondly, there's going to be minor spoilers. Now, not major spoilers. I don't think much more than if you watched a how to play video from that Paul Grogan did, etc. But I'm not going to be spoiling missions and things that will show up. But if I'm going to show you what's inside this box, why would you be watching this anyway? So I'm not going to try to spoil as much as I possibly can, but there might be minor things that you'll notice here and there. So proceed at your own risk. Are you ready? Let's open that box. Now, Gloomhaven is a humongous game, and I know this because I just packed it up. And it took me 30 minutes probably to pack it up. There's a lot going on in this box. And the weird thing is, there was a ton of things to punch out, and yet I'm really having a hard time fitting everything in this box. So you see on top here, I see the boards and the sticker sheets, and then these player boards, and there's probably like a puzzle-ish way where I could fit them in better, but then you can see underneath them, I have a bunch of bags that have all the different punched out components in them, and I put these in here kind of to protect the cards and everything else. So this is everything out of the box pretty quickly. Now, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. These 6 are the starting characters that players can have. Inside them is all the information for your character. I haven't opened up anything else yet. And then there's matching boxes. And in each of these boxes is a miniature of the characters. So I'm just assuming, these are also characters. And these other boxes are also character figures. But let's take a look here. The plastic on these miniatures looks pretty good. I'm very happy with how they look. These are the only miniatures in the game. The monsters are stand-ups, but there are at least 6 miniatures, and like I said, I'm assuming that in the rest of these boxes there are different miniatures, and each of them has a symbol which kind of gives you a clue as to what their class is. You'll notice there's also lots of different cards in here. Let's take a closer look at some of the components. Now this is the map board, but this is actually a non-necessary feature, right? It shows here Gloomhaven blown up, and it shows a couple here. There's stickers, okay? And this is actually, I really do like how this looks. There are sheets of stickers that are going to fit in different locations on the board, and there's other things to keep track, the prosperity of the city, other global achievements, which means something, I'm sure, as time goes by. But you don't really need this board. It's more of a visualization and say, oh, these are the different places that we can go to, the different locations. But I really do like it, and I'm really kind of excited to see how this board is going to change and grow as our campaign does. There are 3 rules books with the game. One is Town Records, which is sealed. We won't get until one of our characters retires, which I'm certain is a long ways away. So, interesting, but I'm really sure this is exciting, but I'll have to wait to see then. Then there is the main rule book. Now, the rule book is really well written. I was able to understand almost everything about the rule book. My only complaint about the rule book itself is that the part about the campaign is in the back of the rule book. And you can see I've read this rule book so many times it's fallen apart. But the back of here, we're talking about the envelopes and everything else, is at the end. But I can't imagine just getting Gloomhaven and playing some scenarios with it. That wouldn't be interesting at all. I think the whole thing is about the campaign, and I'm kind of surprised that it didn't start with this information. Not to mention, there's a very minor thing. I couldn't figure out who the starting characters were. I had to assume from this book who they were. I don't know, there was just a couple things that they just assumed. But the actual fighting of the different scenarios and how to fight and combat and stuff, I thought that was pretty well laid out. They also have videos online, especially those from Paul Grogren, that really explain it well. This is the campaign book. This is the first campaign, Black Barrel, and there are tons of different campaigns in here. I'm sure we'll run across them, and they very clear on how they work. I really thought they were well done on what to put and where. This is a really good, solid book. Then we have all these different boards. They're your typical puzzle-style piece boards. They are double-sided. The book will tell you how to put them together. No map is really that huge, which is good because it takes you a while to get through each room. There are other tiles with different terrain pieces that might be somewhere on the different tiles, and these are going to have maybe effects on any specific mission. But the boards themselves aren't going to take up a lot of room on your table. In fact, you're going to find most of the room taken up on your table are the characters themselves. So let's take a look at characters. Each character, they come in a box like this, and it like pops open, and then it also comes with a miniature. So this one here is the Craghart, and you can see this guy, he's yelling a lot, so he's the Craghart dude. And inside the box itself, by the way, this is one thing I do not like. I do not like tuck boxes at all, and so I'm going to have to go and like glue these all closed because it's really important to me that stuff doesn't slide out the bottom. That just drives me nuts. And when you have this and you're sliding cards in and you have these little pieces involved, these are little tokens you use to track things. But the game itself, each character is going to come with a character sheet like this. It shows you the person, and here it tells you basically how to play the game. This is not stats specific to the Craghart. He has stats here for how many hit points, so you can see as he goes up in level, he's going to have more and more hit points, and this is a place to keep track of his experience, and that shows how many cards he has, but that's pretty much it. It's kind of a standardized board. Now, the game doesn't come with mesh wooden tokens at all, and in this little bag here of wooden tokens, I have an experience point tracker. So it's a wooden star with a piece sticking out that kind of sticks in there, and a health point tracker which sticks in here. And this health point tracker and experience tracker are going to be used as the game goes by. They do not fit in all the characters. At least one of our characters, the health tracker doesn't work at all, and they are a little unwieldy. I wish there was a better way. Cubes or something, these look cool. I won't deny that they look cool. They have a three-dimensional look, but they aren't the optimal way to keep track of hit points and experience. And in fact, I think pretty soon we're going to just forget this and use a pile of hit points and keep track of our characters that way. So each character has a character sheet. They then have a character deck. Now, the character deck is made up of different cards that the player is going to be using. And this is really one of the main parts of the game. At the beginning of the game, you're only going to be using your level 1s or possibly these level X's. You can switch these out. But as each level goes up, you have more cards that you're going to have access to. And these cards have a lot of information on them. And you're going to be constantly looking at these cards saying, what does this mean? Because in the course of a game, each round you're going to be playing the top of one card and the bottom of another card and using the lower number as your initiative. And knowing, and also each top of card can always be used as an attack too, and each bottom can always be used as a move too. So knowing all that information and all the different things that you can do with the cards is a handy thing. And it's going to take, like I said, some getting used to what all the symbols mean. Like that means experience. This means get rid of the card when you're done with it, and so on and so forth. So, or this is kind of an area attack. So you're going to keep track of all this information. This is a really cool mechanism, though. We'll talk more about this in our review. But this is what each deck looks like. The cards are good quality, and they're easy to see who they go with. Now, standard for each character, you're going to have a deck of cards here, and this is going to determine whether you hit someone or not. So these cards all have 1s in the bottom, so that's for player 1. There's M's for the monsters, 2, etc. And these cards you're going to be shuffling, and when you attack someone, this is going to determine what your bonus is. They look cool. They're very easy to tell. You flip it over. Obviously, it's a +1. Each character set comes with some more that they can customize, and these are noted down here in the bottom. So you can see these go with the Craghart, and some of these will do various effects, which you'll learn once you play the game. And so each character comes with a character sheet. Now, this here is Savas Craghart. We have not yet named this character. I've actually played with this character when I was running through this as an example, but I haven't named him yet. But this is a place for players to keep track of your experience, your gold, the items you've collected, and different perks that you got that kind of let you customize that little deck that you have. So each character is going to come with this, with the character card, with the figure, and the 2 little decks of cards. And that's what you're going to need for each player to play the game. Then we have the monsters. Now I had to separate the monsters into different bags depending on what kind of monster they were. I put the same ones in the same bag. So this is some flame creature, for example, and he has a number 2 on him, and that's in case you're fighting more than one of them at the same time. Now these monsters have to go in standees, which I'm not thrilled about. I don't like standees that much. I understand it's way cheaper than miniatures. It's just the fact of inserting them in these all the time has a chance to mess up the cardboard. Now the standees are yellow and white because the yellow ones are like elite monsters and white are normal monsters. And that matters for the stats of the monsters themselves. And this I really do like. So let's say you're fighting skeletons, which in this game are called living bones. It's depending on the scenario and different other factors, the skeletons will have a different level. So there's 0, 1, 2, all the way up to level 7 on the other side. So if, let's say you're fighting them on level 6, you would put them in like this. This shows the hit points of this side is white and this side is yellow. The hit points of a white and an elite skeleton, how far they move, how much damage they do, and if they have any range at all, and any special abilities that they have. You can see that the hit points 10 and 11 here are a far cry from, let's say, level 0, where they are going to be 5 and 6, move 2 and 4, do 1 and 2 damage, and they can target with no armor at all. This is the weakest version. So what you do when you're fighting monsters is you're going to put them in this thing, and you can see here there's numbers around here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and that's if you're keeping track of the different skeletons that you're fighting, so you can place hit points on specific monsters as you do damage to them. The hit points in this game are okay. I'd rather there just be a big 5 or a 1 on them. This white around white border is, they're okay. But keeping track of them on this card is actually pretty handy, and it comes even more useful with these little status icons. So if I poison someone, and is it possible to poison a skeleton? But anyway, if you poison someone, you can put it on the number 3 there. And this is a very easy way to keep track of what's happening to which one. You don't have to put the stuff on the board as they're moving around the board. Rather, you keep it on these. And there are several envelopes in case you have multiple different creatures that you are fighting at any given point in time. The way that they will come back after you or fight you is also pretty handy. Each of them is going to come with a little deck of cards. So this one would be used, for example, with guards. And whenever you would fight any specific guard, you're going to turn over the top card, and it's going to give you the programming movement of that guard plus their initiative. And this is very simple, very easy, and every once in a while a card will tell you to reshuffle. So there is a lot of these cards in existence. You can see right here, these are all the cards for the different monsters in the game, although some monster groups will use the same set of cards. For example, all guards, whether they're temple guards or city guards or robber guards, they're going to use the guards card. Okay, now we're going to take a look at different equipment. Equipment has pictures on it, which is nice, has a certain cost, and tells you what it does. This game is really nice that equipment does not need to have a specific class. Like warriors don't use these boots of striking. It's any character can use anything. And you say that doesn't seem like a lot of items. Well, the fact is those are the items that are available to you at the beginning of the game. But again, there's a whole huge stack of other items that will come into play through various effects as the game goes by. There are other cards. There's fairly a decent amount of cards and decks in this game. These are cards that are used in a battle. You're going to draw one of these and you're trying to be a hoarder of this battle, or you're trying to be a neutralizer. It kind of gives you a mini goal in the battle. Here are some map cards that you might find. Now these cards, when you find this side mission, Magnum Pit or whatever, you get rid of this card out of the game. Now it shows the card being ripped up, but you don't have to. This is not necessarily a true legacy game where you actually have to destroy stuff to take it out. There are also some other decks of cards here. These are the city decks and road decks, and I'm only kind of giving you a little bit of a look at them because there's a lot involved with these cities and road decks as time goes by. These give you different choices, and they have some cool stories on them. And then these are different main goals, life goals of your character. So I'm keeping these wrapped up because I don't want you to be spoiled and see these ahead of time. And even these aren't all the ones in the game. These are just the ones that are in our game. So what else is there in the box? I showed you most of the decks of cards. I've shown you the characters. We also have piles of stickers. These stickers will modify cards later on. There's a lot of stickers for the board. These different global achievement stickers are going to show up as time goes by. What are they going to do? I'm not sure. I'm going to find out. There's also, these are summoning tokens. These are okay. These are kind of generic tokens. Like, so let's say you summon a pile of rats or you summon an imp to help you. You pick one of these to show that that's the thing that you've summoned at that point in time. I know they need generic things because there's a lot of summoning in the game. There's also different, chests and things that will show up over the course of a game. These keep track of experience and other things over the course of the game. And then the money. I'm kind of blah on the money. The money's useful. It's okay. It fits in the game and everything, but I don't know. The ones themselves look pretty pathetic. I don't know. They're not very exciting to pick up. I might replace this with some metal money as time goes by. Well, folks, that's kind of an overview of what is in this game. You can see here as I've been opening this box, it really fills up the whole table. There's a ton of pieces. I haven't shown you everything in this game, but hopefully this gives you an idea. You are definitely getting your money's worth component-wise. There's a lot. If anything, there's almost too much to go through and sort everything out. I'm still working on the best methodology of sorting the cards out so I have the right cards in the right spot. But I'll get there. We'll get there. And the more you play this, the more you'll have things set up for you to get into them. So that's the Gloomhaven component overview.
Thanks so much for watching the Dice Tower videos. Find more great videos and reviews as well as our top-rated audio podcast at Dicetower.com. You can also find other great shows at Dicetowernetwork.com. I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower. The Dice Tower is sponsored by Cool Stuff Inc., where you can find great games for great prices. Cool stuff in stock. Check them out at CoolStuffInc.com.
Shut the door.
Do.